On Trades Talk today, we got Mr. Matt Brubaker with 5 Star Painting. Glad to have you on here.
Thanks.
We talked about it for a little while and finally got it done and settled. Right. So want to bring you on here and tell the great folks of this area and everywhere else, whoever listens.
That's right.
All about the painting world and who Matt is. So in Wichita, Kansas.
Yep.
From Buhler.
That's right.
Kansas. So
the metropolis of Buhler, Kansas.
It's such a big area there.
It's massive.
So what brought you to Wichita?
WSU. Yeah. So my dad was a shocker, and I think if I would have gone to school elsewhere, probably would have disowned me. So it was a clear path to
at least
to
it's
go
not
Shocks.
K-State.
That's right. Yeah. No, black and gold's where it's at. I moved down to Wichita. I actually went to music school when I started. I was a music ed major, and met my beautiful wife in the orchestra, and the rest is history. We've been here ever since.
So wife and how many kids?
We got 3 kids.
3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We've got a daughter who was 6 going on 17. And then we've got a boy who just turned 3. And our youngest, our daughter, just turned 1 back in December.
Congrats.
So, thank you.
Are they all gingers like you?
No.
Oh?
Yeah. So far, nobody's got any red. See, waiting to see if the boys got red in the beard. You know, that's where it really
that's
comes
crazy
out.
because mine, you look at both of us and then you look at him, you're like, where'd the red come from? And he is bright red.
I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, man, he is bright red. And he loves being outside.
Yeah.
But I told him, I said,
unfortunately, sometimes
the sun is your enemy, and you will learn that.
Yeah.
And he hasn't learned that yet. But I just got done with a sunburn myself from Costa Rica, so.
Yeah, they've got a lot of sun down there.
Yeah,
from what I understand.
It's a different sun. It is a different sun. The tequila.
Oh, yeah.
So that kind of helped. But I told him, I said, you see this? Let this be a lesson to you.
Do you see the pain your father's in? Don't do what I've done.
Yeah. He's not going to listen, though. I just know it. He is my son, so.
Yeah. Well, and when you're a kid, you're not worried about skin cancer.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? What's that?
Oh,
I'm still digging in the sand. Leave me alone.
Skin cancer comes from the spray.
Uh-huh.
Not the sun.
Yeah.
God wouldn't give us something that killed us.
That's fair. Yeah.
The government would, though.
They'd be super happy.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's the stuff right there that I'll get canceled over. Yeah. I'd be like, you said what on your podcast?
I don't know. I feel like nature's constantly trying to kill my poor wife is allergic to the outside. We joke. Oh man, she's got asthma.
Oh.
Yeah, and like sensitive skin. So I'm like, if we try to have a picnic in the yard, everyone's going back inside, itchy, and like having a hard time. Like, it's rough out there. The Brubakers are just a sensitive bunch of humans. Got to protect ourselves before we go outside.
And so you chose the life of a painter.
Yeah, I figured, as someone who's clearly an outdoorsman,
tackle your fears.
Yeah, I should put my whole career outside. Yeah, that's what I should do.
Well, I mean, you could paint interiors.
Oh, for
too,
sure.
But
yeah.
But outside,
I don't mind the outside. But.
So, what is it that being Wichita State, and then in music, is quite the drastic change.
I've had a weird, Yeah. I look at myself as a Renaissance man, but of significantly less intelligence than Leonardo. Okay. If you took like the weird disparate interests of a Da Vinci and just really dumbed him down, that's kind of what you get with me. You know what I mean? Yeah, I started music ed, play trombone. I love music.
Would not have picked you for a trombone player.
Yeah. Yep. Classical. I love jazz.
See, I think you missed an opportunity. Being redhead, you could have played like the little leprechaun guitar.
I know. And then I would have had like a shtick,
or something. Yeah, just. I'm sorry. I'm gonna pick on you, but
I could have leaned into that. Dang it!
Just be like, I do party favorites and
That's
tricks.
Right. That's right. That would have been a nice career. What do you do? I perform at sad parties. That's really what
Hey, I know I have a person though, Robert Beard. I don't have to worry about knowing when St. Patty's Day is because he will remind you. He will count down the days. He has done it. He is continuing to do it right now. I guarantee you, if I went to Robert Beard's Facebook page, it would say, we have a week to go.
Oh, man.
1 week.
Getting ready.
Oh, yeah. Well, at BNI, he would always do like the 6 month. He'd be like, hey, guys, guess what? Today is a very special day. You know what day it is? It's 6 more months until St. Patty's Day.
Wow. That's his holiday.
So I would have had somebody to hook you up with immediately.
Yeah.
Like,
regrets. I don't go all in on St. But I'm rocking.
See,
I got green Lucky Duck socks on. So that's
no green for me. Sorry.
Yeah.
No.
Well, that's right. It's not the day of.
It's not. No.
I got to make sure these are washed and ready to go for the day actual.
Oh, you don't have like an extra pair waiting around?
I got like
this?
2 green socks. I just, green dress socks it's not like a common color for socks.
No. You could always rock it with the brown, it goes good with the brown. So
you need neutrals for sure. But anyway, so yeah, musician, loved it. Had a super talented band director in high school. So I thought, man, that's what I want to do. So I got to school, quickly realized I loved music. I didn't super love teaching. Mm-hmm. And I remember my first semester, before you get into like actual student teaching, you do like a semester trial where they assign you to a school and you just do like maybe 1-2 times a week, working with a local teacher. You kind of test out the waters. And I went, and I think I was at East High, maybe. Great program, great director. But as I started working with the students and, she'd have me like take the brass section and work through something, or take the trombonists and like work through pieces of music with them. And I started realizing like, I don't think I want to do this for my whole career. Oh no. Like now what? I put all my eggs in this basket. So that was a little bit of an identity crisis. And simultaneously I'd met my wife there kind of late fall of my sophomore year. And fell so hard, So I met my wife, started thinking, okay.
Well, there's some good that came out of it.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Started thinking, okay, I'm serious about this girl. Started thinking about wanting to have a family someday. And unfortunately, teachers don't make any money.
Very unfortunate.
So I thought, well, I do want a family. I'd also like us to not have to live in a cardboard box. Maybe I should pursue something more lucrative. And at the time, two of my roommates were business majors, knew a ton of business majors. My grandfather has owned a business for his whole career. My stepfather owned his own business. I had an uncle who owned a business. So it was kind of in the family and it was all around me. And I figured, well, everything's a business. Business degree can at least take me somewhere.
Oh, yeah. So
switched halfway through school, had to take like 19 to 22 credit hours a semester to catch up, graduate on time. Got a degree in business management. And then from that point on, it's Wichita. So you got like a 50-50 shot when you're talking to somebody that they either work in aviation or they work for Coke.
Yeah.
So I fell into aviation.
Coke, the company.
That's right.
Yeah.
Not Coca-Cola and also not the substance, But yeah, I worked for Coke Industries and I, as funny as that is, those 2 roommates worked for Coke Industries for months. But yeah, I fell into aviation, loved aviation. I interned at a company called Flight Safety. They do pilot training and maintenance training. Okay.
They got a lot of those areas set up. I mean, the new one or newish one that was over on Greenwich.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Yeah, and the training they do for pilots is so cool. Those full flight simulators. If you've never seen one or been in one,
Can anybody just
awesome.
go in there? No. Okay, I didn't think so.
No, I was able to get in once during my internship, as they just kind of did a fun,
Is it like a upgraded version of like DCS?
It's like pretty insanely immersive.
Okay.
And
So it's like the full experience.
Yeah, like when you get into a full sim, and there's different levels, right? So not every pilot has to do full like a full level D is what they call that immersive simulator for everything. So they've got smaller devices that just simulate the controls. But the full like level D immersive simulators are nuts. I mean, it's like you're stepping into an aircraft cockpit. And as, visuals just get more and more advanced, it just becomes more and more realistic. I mean, they're on like a full 6 degrees of freedom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's cool. They're sick.
Wind through your hair and all.
Yeah, they ought to put some...
Open the window.
That's right. Not many jets are doing that.
No.
Fortunately. So yeah, I ended up in aviation. As it turned out, right after I graduated, I didn't have a job in aviation at the time, so I took a year-long detour, and I actually was in wholesale electrical supplies for a year. Sold conduit and wiring and switches, which was fine. Not my passion, so I didn't stay there very long. I did that for about a year, and then that's when I ended up at Textron Aviation.
Okay.
And I spent almost 8 years there. And
had another epiphany, apparently.
Yeah. Well, so, I started as a business analyst, and then I was a customer experience manager for about 2.5 years, and led kind of the customer-facing processes for all the service facilities around the globe, and traveled around the country and did customer experience training to those service teams. I was responsible for all of our customer satisfaction survey data and survey activity in the maintenance facilities. So I led those efforts. And then for my last 3 years, I was on the marketing team and still doing marketing in the aftermarket space, so service parts and programs. And did that for 3 years, had a really phenomenal team, loved the people that I'd worked with. But I was in a role where the pressure and the stress was just so high. And I don't know if that role was the best fit for my particular talents and skills. And so ended up in a position where I was just not happy. Wasn't happy at work, stressed out at work. I was coming home, not happy at home. And, it's tough when you're bringing it home and your family starts to suffer.
Oh, yeah.
And so I didn't like that, and it became very clear to me and also to my wife, like it was time for a change, and really didn't anticipate franchise business ownership as my next step. I was looking for a new role and really thought it would just be another role within Textron Aviation because, I'd spent so much of my career there,
right? Love
the organization. But somebody from 5 Star Painting had reached out to me on LinkedIn. And I 100% thought it was a scam. I was like, you want to sell me a business?
Right.
Okay, sure, you do, whatever.
I'm not starting another Burger King, bro.
All right. I don't want to sell your knives. Okay, no thanks. This is not what I'm all about.
What vacuum or knives are we selling today?
That's right. I'm not going door to door. So I ignored it. Yeah, man.
I do remember you telling me about that. Yeah. Like on the one-to-one that we had.
Yeah.
You were like...
I just was real skeptical.
It was, yeah.
Because it was out of the blue. But I'm a believer. I believe in the Lord and I believe in the Holy Spirit. And I feel like the Holy Spirit prompted me. I had this overwhelming feeling of like, just click the link. Just read the PDF, Because it sat in my inbox for a couple weeks and I'd ignored it. And finally I was like, all right, fine. Let me see what it's all about. And that led to conversations with that team. And, I started researching the company. Okay, they're real. You know what I mean? Like, it's a real organization. And 5 Star is part of Neighborly. And there's a whole bunch of brands that even I recognize that are part of Neighborly. And I said, oh, okay. It's kind of legit. Like, there's people in town with Neighborly brands already operating. Like, all right, clearly it's not.
Who are they?
Like Mr. Rooter. Okay. Is in town. Mr. Electric, the grounds guys.
Yep.
They're based out east. Mr. Handyman. Bob Skidmore owns Mr. Handyman. He actually was the Mr. Handyman franchisee of the year this past year. I think he's been in town for like running Mr. Handyman for maybe 10 years.
Yeah, I see those vans all over the place.
Yeah, he's got a great operation. Mr. Reuter's doing really well here in town. Mr. Electric's been around here for he's not quite 10 years. David, if you listen to this, I'm sorry. He's been in business for a while, though. Really great guys. But anyways, I knew some of those brands. And so
I wonder why they called it 5-Star Painting instead of like Mr. Painter.
Well, it's one of those things where the parent company, yeah, that's right. Yeah, why not Mr. Paintbrush?
Yeah.
5-Star Painting was already an existing organization, and I, neighborly acquired them. Right. But you're right. There's a chunk where you've got some Mr. Handyman, Mr. Electric, Mr. Reuter, and then there's quite a few that are not. You're like, wow, it's not a very consistent theme right now, but can't rename everybody, I guess.
Or if you just acquire the brand and you already got the brand, might as well stick with it.
Yeah. But yeah, they'd reached out to me. So I've got a bachelor's and I have an MBA. Thanks, tech staff. Love that educational credit. So yeah, I've got a master's in business, and I'm guessing that's probably how they found my profile, because they were just looking for folks with a certain type of career experience who had certain credentials. Okay, joke's on them. But yeah, they reached out to me probably because of that, and that led to, months of conversations to the point where I started feeling like I was stringing my franchisee developer. I was stringing them along because I was really dragging my feet. Because my wife stays home with our kids, so we're a one-income family. So every decision that we make about my career is like that much more pressure.
It's got to be the right one.
Yep. And, we've been blessed enough that we've been able to make that work. God's been good. I've had a great career. We've been blessed. We haven't really been paycheck to paycheck, But also because of that, like, all right, no pressure, dog. I remember talking to Melody, and she said, well, Matt, I love you and I trust you, and I know you're going to work hard for our family, but you do make all the money. It's like, it's up to you, but like whether or not we live in our house, it's kind of on you, dog. So,
no pressure.
Okay. So yeah, after a lot of discussion, a lot of prayer, accepted. Honestly, it kind of felt like, was painting where I thought I'd go? No, but I'm familiar with the trades. Like I said, I'd spent a year in electrical wholesale, and my stepfather was a tree trimmer, did that every summer throughout all of my teenage years. And I'm very comfortable in the trades. And I also really love the idea of owning and operating a business that serves the community that I live in. Airplanes are cool, don't get me wrong, but so many of my customers were people that I didn't really know all over the world. Yeah. You know what I mean? So having an organization, having a company that I'm building, and I'm serving the people that live in the town that I also live in. It sounds a little probably cheesy, like it's a little on the nose, but really, there's something to that. You know what I mean? So we talked,
accountability is what holds you to it.
Yo, that's no joke.
You're either going to run into him again. It's going to talk. It's going
to, that's right.
The word's going to get around, especially whenever you're even in a major city, Dallas, Houston, Atlanta, the word's going to spread enough. And if you don't have quality customer service and everything else that goes along with it, you're up shit's creek. So
that's right. Really quick. If you screw up that house, you're not painting any other house on this block. Yeah. You better do all right. Yeah. So, but we talked about it. We prayed about it, wrung our hands over it for a little bit. And we eventually decided to pull the trigger and, leapt into business ownership, kind of both feet first. And so far, it's been a wild ride.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's been a wild ride for sure.
So, question that I'm curious about that came to mind. Somebody that I'm pretty sure there's going to be somebody that's like, oh, well, he's not in the trades. He just, anybody will tell you, if they see a white guy and I say that I'm a roofer, they're like, Bullshit.
Yeah. No, you're not.
You sell the roof and you deal with the customer, but you do not do the roofing. Got me there.
Yeah. Guilty.
So it comes with accountability.
Yeah.
I believe in experience and justification. If I can make sure that I'm holding myself accountable, but also going above and beyond, I don't have the ability to just go, oh, well, cool. Let's not worry about that customer or that situation. And I can go to the next house because you don't recognize me or I'm not a part of that organization. So therefore I don't have that trust factor that stands behind it. I think in people in our position, we have to have that. So you're getting not only the quality, but the care, consideration, and customer service that goes along with it to stand behind our product and stand behind our reputation. So you're not going to get screwed over. And some people just only see the bottom line. They don't actually see the quality and the integrity that it takes to actually do our positions as well. So in your position, knowing what you know and business-wise, what do you think has propelled you as far as it has so far, as of now? Like your start to where you are now and why you're continuing to do it and why God put you on this path.
Yeah.
What's your take on that? Like what's kept you going?
Yeah, for sure. I think to your point, right, there's a lot of trades where the work itself requires skill, but it's often not overly complex. And that's not every trade. Some trades are clearly more complex, but I'm in paint. It's paint. You know what I mean? Like it's not like an overly complex process to, like pretty much anybody can paint. Now, obviously there's skill for sure. No. There's bad painters. There's bad painters. But
I'm gonna call him out right now, Cody.
Oh no.
Yep, Cody. So I let him paint, and I showed him. I said, "Here's how you're gonna spray it," and it's in my son's room. If you go up there right now, you're gonna see all these runs, and I'm like, "What did you do?"
Yeah, no, that's a good caveat.
And I watched him.
Not everybody can paint well.
Everybody can paint.
Yeah,
whether or not it runs.
That's right.
It's a whole nother situation.
But I think to your point, right? It's could I paint? Right? Like, could I get good at painting? Of course I could. I'm slow. You know what I mean? Like, I can do touch-ups, but my guys are so much faster than me. Like, if the job takes them a week, it'd take me a month. Yeah, I'm so slow.
Well, time is quality.
That's right. That's right. There's a line.
I'm not going to miss anything.
And I'm over that line.
Yeah.
But I guess, my point is to me, having a good experience as a customer is so much more than whether or not your contractor has just the physical ability to complete the job.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people can just do that. To me, the difference in what I try to make sure I bring to the table for my customers, the difference is, okay, is this person going to be upfront with me about their pricing? Are they going to walk through the estimate with me so that I understand all of it and make sure that they've answered any questions I have? Are they going to be there for me throughout the project so that if things come up or I have concerns or I've got questions, are they going to be available to talk to me? Or do they show up, sell me the job, send a crew, and show back up to collect the check?
Right.
You know what I mean? I have spent so much of my career already in that customer experience space, and on the service side of a business too, right? I know what it takes to make sure your customers are satisfied with their experience at the end of the day. And what drives me nuts is that it doesn't actually take all that much, and still some folks just miss it, most of the time, customers just want to be communicated with, and they want to know that you are doing your best to give them a quality finished result. Mm-hmm. I would rather lose money on a job and end up with a customer that's fully satisfied with what we've done than to squeeze every last drop of margin I can at each individual job and then have customers that are like, I guess it was okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'd rather them feel like, oh man, they took the extra time. They spent the extra effort. Like they did what they needed to do. And wow, I'm really happy with how my house looks. I'm really happy with how this project finished, you know? So
I've had a lot of experience over the years, not in the past 5, but with other companies that have showed me this is not the way you do it. So therefore, the negotiation of how to get out of that became a strong suit. How to deflect the right way and show that, well, I'm going to do everything I can, but the company that unfortunately I'm representing right now is not. So how can I make it right with you because of my name? So I think you end up getting this art of the negotiation, the art of that deal, in making sure what you're doing, you're standing behind. And honestly, when it comes down to a business, especially within the trades, typically a lot of us can do the work, but to try to spread yourself so thin like that, estimating, negotiations with the client, on my side, insurance.
Yeah. And if you're on the tools at the same time, there's no way.
It's impossible. So I love I got a guy. He does the roof. He takes care of it all. He does all of that. Cool. How many of those is he doing? Is he actually giving you a quality job? You know, what if there's an issue where he needs more material now? Is he going to get off the roof, go get it?
Yeah.
Leave your stuff there and unattended. And then there's so many different applications and which it can be used. So I think everybody has their role, their specific role. And as long as you're doing your role correctly and with integrity, and you have a crew behind you that is doing their job with integrity, you're going to go places every time.
100%. One as a business owner, you know, my stepfather's a great example. One of the hardest workers I have ever known. The man fought cancer, and in between his chemo treatments, he would go back to work cutting down trees until he was ready. Geez. I mean, the dude worked harder than anybody I've ever met. But he's always been on the tools. And I remember before business ownership was even on my mind, I asked him, you know, hey, if you could go back, like, what would you do differently? What would you change? And he said, I would have made a bigger investment earlier so that I could have more crews and I could administer it that way. Because there's so many guys that work so hard and are trying to build a business, but they're so sucked into the day-to-day operation that they can't grow. Yeah. Because there's no room for them to grow. There's nothing else they can do.
Their time's taken up too much on the tool or on the job.
You know, a lot of people are probably familiar with the book, The E-Myth, and it's all about entrepreneurship. If you haven't read it, great book. But one of the kind of key principles in that is that you're either working in the business or you're working on the business, and you can't work on the business while you're working in it.
Yep.
You know, and I knew going into this, I'm not trying to make myself a job. You know, I'm trying to build a company, something that I can be proud of, that can serve my community in a way that I'm proud of, something that can allow me to build the kind of future I want for my family, something that can provide jobs for other people in the community. And if I want to build that kind of thing, I can't structure it in a way that I've limited myself to how much growth I can possibly handle, because, I've got to do all of it myself. So I do have customers ask me, like, well, do you do the painting? And I say, if I'm holding a paintbrush, something's probably gone wrong. So like, no, you don't know. I'm not. And
the white guy's on the roof.
Yeah.
Something's going on here.
Oh no.
What's he doing up there?
Oh gosh. Yeah. And it's, it's intentional.
To have a customer concerned about you for doing the job that they hired you to do is an odd feeling.
It's weird.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I know you hired me to paint, but I individually No, you didn't. You know what I mean? You hired 5-star painting department. Right. We're going to do a great job. But to your point, everyone's got a different role. And my skill set lies much more in the customer experience and administrative side of things. I know how to run a business. I know how to work with my customers, and I know how to make sure that my customers are satisfied. Do I bat 100? No. You know what I mean? Of course, like everyone's going to have slip ups, but that's where my focus lies. And the other side of that coin is the guys that work for me, that do painting for me, they don't need to spend a ton of time worrying about marketing on their own. They don't need to spend a ton of time worrying about working their own referral networks, because ideally I'm doing all of that on my end and I can just keep them busy working. You know what I mean? I can just be making sure that they've got money to feed their own families and they've got homes to paint every day. And so I think in your industry too, right? Yep. There's a lot of,
well, I don't like that phone call of, you got anything? I want to be able to, hey, I got so much for you that you're tired, or you're asking me to slow down, or, you're not questioning when is the next roof coming? When's the next check coming? What do you have for us? I don't like those phone calls. They were in the beginning, because of course, you're starting up, and in just the same, I'm sure with our industry, they don't work directly for us.
Yeah.
Some of them do, but some don't. So therefore we might be their only paycheck.
Yeah.
Or their only source of income. They're not able to sub themselves out to another individual because of the agreement that we have, or whatever the relationship is. So we have a responsibility not only to the customer, to the client, and to our own business, but we also have a responsibility for the other mouths that we're feeding at the same time too.
Yeah, well said.
I don't think sometimes some customers or clients relate to that. They don't see those details. They don't see that, hey, it's not just my family that I'm trying to feed.
Yeah.
It's my other family right here that I'm trying to feed at the same time too. So that's how I look at it. I have 2 families that I have to feed. I have 2 sets of mouths, theoretically, that I'm looking out for. The very first one is not my family. If I feed these guys over here and I keep them very happy, this one over here is plentiful, because this is what feeds that.
Yep.
That's kind of how I envision it. Well, I got and I think, mouths to feed.
You've probably experienced in roofing, right? Like sometimes subcontracting gets a bad rap.
Yep.
But I think it gets a bad rap in instances where you don't have somebody who has the dedicated role of, no, I'm not just going to send the crew and see you later till you owe me a big old check. I'm still involved the whole time. You know what I mean?
Where it got the really bad name was the storm chasers.
Yeah.
That's where a crew that shows up that has no idea what's going on. They just know that they're supposed to be there to do something. And you didn't have that point of contact.
Yep.
Or that relationship that's already been built.
That's right. Somebody sent them. Yeah. Here they are. I don't know what's going on. Not sure they know what's going on. Yeah. And then they're gone. Like,
have you ever had an instance or heard of one within your arena where they painted the wrong house?
I have. Yeah, I have.
We had one.
It hadn't happened to me, but I have heard of times where, wrong house gets painted. Yeah.
I had one that was wrong roof stripped off. Not on ours. Entire roof gone. And customer comes home.
That's what makes that project manager role so critical. You got to have somebody who
looks like you're getting a new roof for
steering
free.
The ship, Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, and I think it's also from my crew side too, right? I am primarily focused on residential repaints right now. I'm not doing a lot of big commercial work. So, in the slower season, if I don't have a job lined up for my guys, I don't begrudge them at all. Like, hey, dude, if you've got commercial work that you can do, like, they have responsibilities, I have responsibilities. Ideally, to your point, I'm not quite there yet. I'm getting there. I'm not to the point where they can essentially just work for me full time all year round. I want to be there, right? But you can't do that for every single crew.
No.
You know, there's seasonality to a lot of our trades, right? I'm just not going to be painting.
Unless you're Javier with J Brothers.
That's right. What a guy. I'm just not going to be painting as many houses in January as I am in June.
Yeah.
You know? So I think there's some symbiosis in either direction where that structure of them being sub guys allows them some flexibility on their end where, hey, maybe if I don't have something for them, they've still got flexibility to go do what they need to do to feed their families. And on my side, it gives me flexibility to say, okay, well, I have a crew who's really, really good at exterior jobs. So I can go and call that crew and make sure I have them lined up for XYZ.
Yep.
I have another crew who's really great at cabinets. Okay, cool. So the next time I've got a cabinet job, I have somebody I can go and call. And it doesn't mean that they've got to just sit around twiddling their thumbs for the last 3 months while they wait for me to have a cabinet job, you know? But to your point, it's that accountability piece, right? And I think where you don't have that accountability piece, that's where customers feel the pain. Because there's not really, you know, if there's nobody accountable, who do I go and talk to? If this project
was showing up,
if the project doesn't look the way I want it to look, well, hang on, who's in charge?
Yep.
And that's really all folks want. They just want somebody that they know is going to be accountable, who's going to be overseeing that project, and who's going to make sure that at the end of the day, they're going to get what they paid for. They're going to feel like they got good value out of what they paid you to come do.
That's the 5-star painting.
That's it, man. You know, it's not rocket science, but it does kind of blow my mind, like how
it's really not. That's the thing that so many people don't understand. It's not a rocket science. You don't need to go and create a new wheel. Work with the system that we have that's been working.
Yeah.
And just make sure that if you're going to be on the wheel, you're not going to be, you know, a knob in the tire that makes us go all crazy and disrupts the whole entire industry because of your fuck up.
Yeah. Well, and it's even things like just courtesy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I have known and I have worked with contractors who are just discourteous to their customers.
I can't see that.
It blows my mind. You know that, man, it takes 5% additional effort to just be kind and courteous to the people that are feeding your family.
Now, I know that you don't cuss, right?
No. I try not to, you know, every once in a while.
you know the golden rule, right?
What's that?
If you can get a customer to cuss, you have the job.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Well, not really that you're intentionally trying to get them to, but if they start out and they have that, not, you know, like reclusive kind of behavior, like
almost.
And then they open up and they start cussing. It's like, boom. Like now, it doesn't mean that I'm going to have to feed back into that, but you know that you just reached like another level.
It's that comfort level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're comfortable. Because if I remember correctly, somebody makes their impression of you and who you are within the first 30 seconds.
I believe that.
Of you opening up your mouth. Sometimes it's a little shorter for some people.
Depends on what comes out of their mouth, right?
It depends on what comes out of their mouth, yeah. And sometimes, I mean, I'll be honest, I have been not really judgmental of the way that somebody looks, but almost like I hear them talk and then hear in the grammar sense of the way that they're speaking and the words they're using, and then also kind of how they look, and just kind of put 2 and 2 together and be like, nope, like move on. Like I don't need you in my life. So glad that you're here.
That's right. Yeah, it's you're so right, and I think it's good for those of us who work in businesses where
we have to.
We're customer facing, right? You're going to work with and you're going to work for all kinds of people. And I think even just being cognizant of that, of like knowing, hey, I'm going to be forming first impressions. Sometimes I try to remind myself to give people more grace than I like initially might. You know, I'm fighting against my, what I would say is my sinful nature to be probably kind of full of myself. You know what I mean? And I have to consciously remind myself like, hey man, you know?
Well, I noticed today, actually, I noticed, well, no, it might've been yesterday. I had to literally shut my own mouth because I was like, I'm either just giving them loads of information that they don't need, or I'm just talking too much. Because I do know how to speak, and I don't use a ton of filler words. So I'm pretty sure the other person on the other line was either thankful or they were just like, damn, this dude talks too much.
All right, buddy, listen.
But they were feeding into it. Like they were asking those right questions to allow that conversation to continue, or me provide more information to him. But honestly, I just subconsciously was like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Like, hey dude.
Yeah. Like
stop
pull
up, bro.
Yeah. Like you're done.
Yeah.
So
no,
yeah,
I empathize with that. I too am excessively verbose at times.
But do you read people?
I try to. Yeah.
Have you learned that ability?
As a matter of necessity. Yeah. Yeah.
That's where the fun starts.
Yeah.
That's where the real fun starts.
I get to the point though, I am such a people pleaser, and I hate that about myself. It's not a positive, but like
sometimes in this industry it is.
I deeply care whether or not people like me. So if I feel like someone dislikes me,
so in the comments we need to do a poll.
Yeah, this is the worst guest you've had. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I won't read them. I can't.
I'll turn the comments off. Don't worry. No, I won't.
But I just have a need to like.
I got the need to please.
Yeah, I can't be annoying. You know what I mean? I hate that feeling. I think it's because I was a very annoying kid. And so
I don't see it.
Oh man, I got bullied just because I was just annoying and talkative. Dude. Thank you, man. But now that I'm an adult, there's still that in my head.
Yeah.
And to your point, like if I meet somebody or a customer or at a social event or networking, whatever, there's that like thought in my head. It's like, all right, bro, tone it down. Don't talk too much because they probably don't care. You know what I mean? Like you got to chill. And it's usually when we're in like social settings with people that we know really well. Like if we're at, hanging out with friends, that sometimes I'll get the nudge from my wife of like, hey babe, you've really been going for a while.
Tone it down.
I don't think they care about this topic that much, baby. Like you got to chill.
Look, man, this color came out and it was just, it's the new trend. Everybody's putting it on your cabinets. Yeah. So how was it in the presentation for you? Because you honestly, you just seem in your own environment. You were relaxed. Like, I wonder if you analyzed anybody, because you were looking around a lot, but you weren't stumbling like some other people or looking away. You were actually engaged with us.
Some of it's been practice.
Been in that setting before where you had to.
Weirdly, I've always enjoyed public speaking, which is strange. Because some people are terrified. I love it.
True.
Put me in front of a big crowd. Yeah. I'm all about it. I like public speaking.
Is it like the energy that's being fed off?
It's like adrenaline for me. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yep.
I just like a crowd, which is probably, there's a balance to that because some of it's my ego. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm the shit.
Yeah. I'm only worried the spotlight might not be big enough to fit my whole head in. You know what I mean? So I don't mind that. But the practice comes in to when I first started public speaking. So I think the first time that I really did it outside of pre-written speech, because, in high school, if you're in debate or forensics, you have a pre-written speech. You're not ad-libbing. And then I even did a speaking competition in college, I think like first speech class, but it was a pre-written speech I already had.
Okay. So you already knew what to say.
The first time that I gave a presentation, like from a PowerPoint, that I'm not going to sit there and read a script for the next 2 hours, was while I was an intern at Flight Safety, and it was some kind of training presentation. And that's when I started to realize that, oh, okay, I need to have a plan, or I will just ramble until we're like 30 minutes over time and I still have like a lot left. So that's where the practice came in, was knowing like, okay, if I have this much content to get through and I have 2 hours to do it, then by 30 minutes, I kind of need to be about here. And by an hour, I kind of need to be about here. So
setting timelines of where you're at in
for
it.
Sure.
Okay. See, that's what I should have had, because Andrew told me, he was like, you went over.
Yeah, you were like double.
Yeah, he's like, you went over 10 minutes. And I was like, it flew by. And he was like, I kind of looked at you and was like this. And I was like, I didn't even see you. That didn't register. I was just like,
we need to have a huge clock on the back wall of that room.
Yeah, he's like, you went double the time. And I'm like, dude, it flies by.
It's almost
because you're in the zone when you're up there.
100%. And it's like you almost have to have. You never think consciously about this while you're in the middle of presenting. But you know, if you've got 10 minutes and 10 slides, okay, that's about a minute per slide. You know, more or less, right? And so there's times where I've been putting a presentation together, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have 10 seconds a slide. All right, I need to cut my presentation down. Like there's no feasible way I can do that, or I'm going to talk to him for the next 3 hours.
But then I also had like people asking questions in the middle of it. So
it's so hard to gauge, like, how long do I need to leave for questions? Because sometimes it's crickets. And you're like, but I left 20 minutes for questions. Nobody, all right, well, enjoy the extra time back. But other times people just blow you up with them. And it's always when you don't have any time left. And that's when everybody wants to know something. Like,
but see, I enjoyed yours. You're funny, you're articulate, you speak well, therefore you were engaging. I've been to some B&I presentations where it's just like, you know, I'm either going to fall asleep, you're reading the slide and looking at it with us. Yeah. So you're not engaging with anybody.
That's the death blow right there.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you start doing it,
what's next?
And if everybody knows that's what you're going to do, they're going to start beating you to it. And they're just going to read the slide before you do.
Yeah.
And then what purpose do you serve up there?
Yeah. It's like, I could have just seen your life and what you do in slides, and I didn't need to hear from you.
You could have just clicked through and smiled while you're up there. You know?
You've met Robert Beard. I invited him. You know what he did for his B&I presentation one time? He played the freaking guitar and piano and sang for his presentation.
That's pretty extra.
That's awesome. He's extra.
Man.
But Robert's special. Not in the.
Wouldn't recommend
on one
that
side
generally
of the spectrum, though.
For everyone. Yeah,
that's my brother from another.
Do I always have to play guitar when I speak?
Yeah, he's awesome. He is an absolute outstanding character. Wonderful in business, great in life, exceptional. He's awesome.
Is he the guy that's doing travel advising?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I do
travel, and he's also real estate agent as well.
Yeah.
Our trip to Costa Rica that we just got back from, he helped us plan, negotiate, and kind of facilitate that whole entire trip. So we're very thankful to him for that. I picked Costa Rica. And I think it was just like the first words out of my mouth as far as where to go for vacation. I didn't realize what we were getting into.
Yeah. Was it like a bucket list?
Not even that. I thought that the Caribbean / beach time was just going to be the, I don't know, lounge, I guess.
Sure.
The relaxing type vacation. It was far beyond that. There was some relaxing times.
Yeah, I think I saw a picture of you on what definitely looked like a hike.
It was a hike.
Yeah.
So when we were done for the day, I looked at my watch 6 miles walked. 103 flights worth of stairs. One area, the waterfall, was 1,000 steps.
Oh, man.
To get up and down to the waterfall in La Fortuna. And then we went to the Arenal volcano. I think at one point I looked at my watch and it said we were like 2,200 feet above sea level. So it was absolutely amazing. Much more than I bargained for, but at the same time, extremely happy.
Yeah.
To do it. To the point of like, even in the middle of all of that, no matter how tiring that it was, I'm like, I want to come back.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But when I was in Cancun, it wasn't like, you know, like this is good, but I'm not going to plan my next Cancun vacation. Yeah. I'm already like looking up like Airbnbs and like, oh yeah, I could stay there. We could stay there. We could do this in the middle of the vacation.
Oh, see, that's a good trip.
So that tells me
that's a good
that
trip.
that was the experience necessary that I didn't know I needed.
Yeah. It's because Ashton's been whipping you into shape.
Well, yeah. I mean, asked by Ashton. Therefore, I told him already. I was like, I am so thankful for you kicking my ass because I feel like I would have died in the middle of the freaking rainforest in Costa Rica. From like, we climb roofs all the time that are steep or steeper, and like we cruised through it like it was no big deal at all. Now, Costa Rica does not know what flat ground is.
Yeah,
everything is on an incline or a decline.
And those are rare moments of excitement.
Yeah,
here in South Central Kansas.
Oh, I mean, everything here is completely flat. So somebody that went from the Great Plains to a mountain vacation is, So Robert is who we have to thank for that. That vacation was,
that's awesome.
It was well worth every bit of it. Even the scorpion that I brought home.
Really?
Yeah.
Intentionally?
No.
Oh.
No. We had some undocumented travelers with us that I packed away into the suitcase, and then they got unpacked, put into the wash machine. And after removing the clothes from the wash machine, they were in the little trap down there.
Yeah.
Yep. Scorpion and a
where did that
crab.
Wow.
So the crab was still alive, kind of legs were kind of crawling around and whatnot, but the scorpion was dead.
Yeah.
But it was a bark scorpion. It's about that long.
You're kidding me right now.
Mm-mm. I got a picture of it.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah. So
no thanks.
To know that it ended up in the luggage.
Yeah.
And just the day prior to us leaving, there was somebody up at the lobby complaining that there was a scorpion in her shoe. So,
yeah, certain parts of the world, you got to knock the old boots out on the ground before you stick them bad boys on.
Mm-hmm. Many parts, Costa Rica being included.
Yeah.
Iraq or any of those, or overseas, and the desert section of the world. Yeah. The camel spiders.
I'm okay that they're not here. I'm all right that we don't have camel spiders in Wichita.
We have plenty.
You know what I mean?
Not camel spiders. No. We got, we're like brown recluse capital.
Yeah.
So.
Which I do hate those.
Every home is infested. You know that, right?
Yeah.
It's an infestation.
It's just whether or not I can keep enough of them out of the common living areas to convince myself that they're not there. That bad. If I can just not think about them actively,
what you don't see, you don't know.
100%. Honestly, that's the kind of relationship I want with a brown recluse. Mind your own, and we're fine.
Go stay in your section.
You get back in my utility room where you belong. I'll jiggle the boxes before I move them, and that way, you get out of the way. And
I smacked my hand. I swore I broke my finger because I was going through a box yesterday, and a big one crawled out. I was like, real quick, like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's the that's a stress that I did not anticipate, is freaking out about my kids getting bit, because we have
think about it.
So much junk in our basement, so many toys, and we are blessed to have a big family. So we have lots of grandparents and they spoil our beautiful children. But because of that, there are so many things. There's so many toys, so many baskets full of stuffed animals, boxes of puzzles and games, and buckets full of, and the kids go downstairs to play, and I'm, they just dunk their little hand right into the bottom of whatever it is they're looking in, and I get this like, oh, no, stop. Wait, shake it,
Yeah.
Nobody's been bit so far, but I'm just terrified. And our son, so far, the 3-year-old, has no self-preservation instincts. He doesn't know.
No retreat.
Yeah.
Why it's all flight, no fight.
That's right.
Like, here we go.
Yeah, we'll just try. He's in it.
So, as the family being health conscious, of the outside, what would be an ideal vacation for you?
Oh man,
I'm just curious. I don't know why it's been on my mind, but I'm kind of wondering. Is like Sweden somewhere where there's no bugs?
Oh god,
sun though.
That'd be my favorite.
And there's sun everywhere, so
yeah.
Where would be an ideal vacation that you would want to go?
Oh man, well, I'm always torn between the beach and the mountains, like so many people. I know that's cliche. I know it's cliche, but I don't know. I love the mountains. I love the beach. I will say my wife and I vacation very differently. She comes from a family, and she herself has inherited the trait of, my woman has an itinerary. Anywhere we're going, we're doing stuff. We are getting the most out of our trip. We are experiencing the things. We're eating the foods. We're drinking the drinks. We're doing the activities, which I'll be honest, I appreciate, because my default setting is to go to a beach and sit in a beach chair and jam out, with a beer in my hand and like hang out by the water, and I have a good time, but I don't always do very much. So we're definitely a balance there, in that I try to make sure that we at least have some chill time, but she makes sure, like, hey, if we're going somewhere, we're experiencing the place we're going to go. Yeah, we're going. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you where we're going on vacation. So my wife and I will celebrate 10 years marriage this summer. Thank you. We honeymooned in St. Lucia, and so we're going to go back this summer for our 10-year trip. I'm pumped about that.
In Jamaica?
St. Lucia's its own little island nation. It's I think it's like kind of approaching South America. Like it's in that chain of islands as you get farther south.
It's still isn't it?
There's a bunch of saints, still in the Caribbean, but it's a little farther. But we loved it, and I'm so excited to go back. But it will probably be similar. Like, I'm looking forward to sitting on the beach with a drink in my hand, hanging out with my wife. And she's like, okay, so I'm going to book us this excursion. We're going to do this thing. We've got this activity planned this day. We're going to go to this restaurant. All right, cool.
Just tell me when.
I'm fine with it. Yes, ma'am. Wherever you're planning to go, deal. We can do it.
Awesome. Well, Matt, thank you so much for being on. We're going to get you back on here. How can people reach you right now if they want to reach out? Yeah. What social medias and all of that?
Yep. So we've got Facebook, we've got Instagram. That's all 5-Star Painting of Greater Wichita. Same thing with the website. It's 5starpainting.com/greater-Wichita. And then, look us up. Obviously, please reach out to me on Facebook, reach out to me on LinkedIn. If you visit our website, it's super easy to schedule an estimate online. You can call the number and talk to my scheduling team. We can get you on the schedule.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Thank you for having me
on.
Yeah, of course.
We'll get you back on here, go into a little bit more details, and we'll turn that shit off.
What are you going to do? It's been a pleasure, man.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Cool.